Yo, what's going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into the 10-star Kizuna clash against Moria for one of the most finicky Kizunas we've seen in a very, very long time. So starting it off with the int variation, the team that I put together, it hasn't changed since the prep video. Something to note though is I did gloss over the fact that I don't have another character that can trigger the BROOK super type. So if you guys want to include another character that can do that, I believe Boa's probably replaceable. Shanks is probably replaceable with another character that can remove or give you a chain boundary for either of those characters. Like the free-to-play Sanji is probably the best one I can think of off the top of my head. He's also going to remove barriers, which is great. I actually forgot to use the EX of Luffy on turn 1, but if you use the Gear 5 EX turn 1, you're going to bypass the barriers anyway. However, if you just bring that Sanji, he's fantastic at sort of just getting around that. We are using a friend, Captain Brook, in today's video, so hopefully it helps you guys out if you didn't do any summons and you're looking at getting the most out of your Super Boss tokens for this particular event. Now, as you guys can see, I had hit goods, but if you guys use the EX, you're going to bypass the barrier, but what you want to do on this turn is use everyone on the left-hand column. I totally spaced that Brook is going to get action binded. You want to use Brook special for the orb buff, Momo for attack boosting, Shanks to get around the attack down below a certain chain, and you should be hunky-dory from there. On the final stage, there's another barrier for int orbs, but again, Gear 5 gets through this. We have block orbs, which Gear 5 takes care of. Then you can actually use Boa to get a tandem orb to trigger the super tandem. If you want, like I said, you can use the... well, actually, you don't even really need the Brook super type or super class anyway, because Yamato's giving you a chain buff and it's going to work out pretty hunky-dory. As you guys can see, I kill pretty comfortably. No real issues for that particular variation. It seems to be the easiest of them, which is very, very nice, because what we saw for the in-fight, so the side fight, definitely threw a spanner in the works. As for the quick fight, not too much changed. I did put the chopper support on my Carrot and Nami, hoping that I would get below a certain HP threshold and trigger the Brook auto trigger, because Roger's damage reduction is actually ridiculously high, so it is going to counteract the auto trigger from Brook. So the thing with this particular variation is you're meant to get action binded after level 30 on your left-hand column once again, I believe. I believe it's the left-hand column. But Roger's damage reduction is actually really, really high. And what I was sort of planning on doing is using the chopper special to use the auto trigger. But the auto trigger happens before the support. So unfortunately, it didn't work in my favor. So I'm going to sort of have to look at a different way of actually doing that. So it is what it is for now. But look, this team will definitely get you to level 30. We'll have to sort of tweak it a little bit from there. You get binded on your left-hand column, which Roger is going to take care of. And then your left-hand column, it's going to basically get action binded after level 30. But as for the left-hand column, I believe you could probably just use everyone's specials on turn 2, and you should be fine. I don't really see a place where you need the Brook special for the final stage. Roger's going to give you 3 turns of a base stat boost that carries into the final stage. Zoro's super swap is going to give you a full board of matching orbs. I guess you could just use the Carrot and Nami special on this particular turn, as you can't use a chain you can't use chain shenanigans on the final stage except for chain multiplicative. So Zoro Sanji, if you bring a support, you can do it that way, but Zoro Sanji are pretty much going to remove the threshold that does get inflicted if you need it. You can use Brook there. You can just basically carry everything into the final stage. You do have a pretty big attack down below a 4x chain, I believe. Your top row gets special rewinded, so that's something you have to deal with. But with Ace, we are going to be covered. Now, ideally, you'd have the Brook orb buff here, and then Ace will give you a conditional buff. Zoro Sanji will increase the attack and orb buff. Your attack boost would be Ace's EX. And then, ideally, you would sort of just, use Yamato on the previous stage, I suppose. Yamato's not really going to be getting too many buffs. Should pretty much be replaceable with any other character. You could use the Super Sugo Yamato to get the damage reduction buff to carry over. That could be a play. Use a support to increase chain boost. And then that way you can use Zoro Sanji. That'll definitely work out too. As you won't have that Brook super class after level 30 as well. So, fortunately, what I wanted to do didn't exactly pan out. And if you don't have Roger's damage reduction, you will die from that death hit. So just be mindful of that. I guess you could use the resilience of Brook on that turn and swap out Roger for a different character to remove bind, but it also has to work nicely in the EX of Ace. So as you guys can see, the team will work fine up to level 30, but as mentioned, you're probably going to want to use a chain boosting support later down the line, so you don't have to worry about the damage reduction and the threshold, because it's just a little bit annoying, so it is what it is. But hey, we managed to get the clear for now, and as mentioned, if you do those little tweaks, you should be able to do 30 plus. As for Sai, this is where things get a little bit challenging, and I did tweak the team drastically because there's actually 2 death hits. I took off, I can't remember who I took off, but I put on Yamato. The reason I put Yamato on the team is she gives you 2 turns of damage reduction at 80%, which is massive and enough to tank those shots. What I didn't know as well is that after 1 turn, you actually have to deal with bind on the left-hand column. And with Brook, you can't remove that because of his superclass being binded. So I used the Corazon support, totally glossing over the fact that you get to spared. But at the end of the video, I will show a couple extra supports that you guys can use. The best one being the quick Corazon on Law and Kid. I guess you could just like replace out Law and Kid with another sort of unit that can just remove bind and put them on the right-hand side. Like, that's going to work absolutely fine. But remember, on the final stage, you can only use 2 specials. But on turn 2, we're going to use Brook, we're going to use Luffy. You got a 3-turn attack boost, a 3-turn all buff. You carry it into the final stage, and it works out really, really nicely. With this, you have access to the EX of Luffy, you have access to the superclass of Brook as well. So that way, you get a chain buff, you get a color affinity boost, and you get a heal. As you can see there, the Corazon support did trigger, which is a bit of a shame. So it kind of sucks to suck, I suppose. Like I said, you can easily replace Zoro and Sanji with another character that is going to give you a bind removal, and then just use Perona. I did showcase the Nami support and then utilizing Zoro Sanji after, but again, you can just replace them with anyone that removes bind, and that probably does some other buff as well. Then use Perona on this turn, get the 3 turns of the chain boundary, or chain lock, I should say, and then as well as the conditional buff for this particular turn. As you can see, the 70% is easy to hit. The problem is you get hit by this death hit, which Yamato can tank very nicely, but then you get the binds, and you have to deal with that. I imagine later down the line, that bind is going to get more finicky. I imagine that bind is going to go upwards, and obviously the HP is going to scale, and you can't do what you see on screen. So I would just replace Zoro and Sanji with another int bind reducer. That's an int bind reducer that could trigger the Brook super... What's it called? The Brook super type. That's probably going to be the play. But that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, but like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff. Most importantly, wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.